And we're live. It's Schmuel Buckman with Debbie LVP, or Ms. Debbie, as we're calling her tonight. And I'm very lucky to have Debbie with me. And we're going to just jump right in. So tell me, Deb, how did you get into the Dabbleverse?
Well, originally, honestly, it was from Compound Media. So I'm an Opie and Anthony fan from way back when. And when Anthony got fired and he started Compound Media, I kind of followed him there. And I'm not a Howard Stern fan, so I never really followed Stuttering John, but I was aware of him. He had the job on the Jay Leno Tonight Show and things. And to be honest, I've always thought Stuttering John kind of stunk. Like, I'm not a big fan of these corny, embarrassing questions to celebrities, like that cringe comedy. I'm not big on that. So I forgot about him for many years. And I'd say 2020, they had Carl from WATP on Compound, and he's talked about Stuttering John, and they showed clips, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so funny. This guy has boogers coming out of his nose, and there's a roach, and he's dirty. Oh, this is so funny. Ha ha ha. And and I watched Uncle Rico's show. They had all these episodes. Excuse me, I'm so scratchy. It's not like that lady that Ray had on the other night. I hope. But anyway, uh,
Wow, it's just, but
yeah,
you
yeah.
don't have you haven't had any southern fruitful day.
But I watched Uncle Rico, watched WATP, and I was like, oh, this is really funny. I like this. This is entertaining. And I put it on every morning before I went to work, Uncle Rico. But when you get about 40 shows deep, you're like, okay, there's nothing new here. This is the same old shit. And now they're just reading more super chats in the beginning. And then they go back like, oh, this guy had a roach crawl up his sleeve. This guy has dandruff. This guy's got a booger coming out of his nose. This guy's ugly. And I just kind of got bored of it. But I've always been Anthony Cumia fan, which I get a lot of shit. Excuse me. I sound like Robert F. Kennedy or that other girl now. I'm so scratchy. But I like Cumia and I like Compound and all of that stuff. So I would watch it, and every once in a while Carl would show up, he'd come on Chrissy's show, and they do the Stuttering John. Gosh. I'm so sorry.
No,
But they do the Stuttering John stuff. And it was really funny for a while, but it gets old. I was like, okay, yeah, he's a slob. He's a pig. He doesn't shave his nose hairs. His hair is ugly. He has dandruff. Like, how far can you go on that? So I just was like, all right, whatever. I was never a big Stern person. I was always Opie and Anthony, and I was also Mike and the Mad Dog on WFAN because I grew up in New York. So that
hey,
was
Mikey.
yeah. So I
You
really
know,
like. I
how,
loved when they
how
pumped.
I'm sorry. How
Oh, I'm
long
sorry.
were Mike and the Mad Dog together?
For a while. I mean, I can't give you the exact time, but they were there for a while.
Right.
And
And how long have they been apart?
long,
Years, right?
probably longer than they've been together. And when Opie and Anthony and Howard Stern and Mike and the Mad Dog were competing for ratings, it was always kind of a flip flop. It was like
Right.
Opie and Anthony, Howard Stern, flip, Howard Stern, Opie and Anthony. Mike and the Mad Dog, Opie and Anthony. It was always a flip flop with the ratings. And I loved Mike Francesca Mike Francesca because he would get pumped. Like, he would get crank calls and he was so grumpy and mean. And then toward the end, he started falling asleep and they'd call him. So I enjoyed radio for a time. When Anthony got fired from Opie and Anthony, I didn't jump right into Compound. I just wrote it off. I'm like, okay, I've outgrown the shock jock era. And I didn't really think of Anthony for years. And then I forget, like maybe 2020, I discovered Compound and In Hot Water. And I put on In Hot Water and I loved it. I loved Gino with Aaron. I loved the bits they did. It was nutty. I loved the people that called, and everything was awesome. So I started watching In Hot Water. I started watching Anthony Cumia's show, Chrissy Meyer, Wet Spot, all of that stuff. And I loved every minute of it.
I enjoyed. I went to Compound. I was a big O&A fan, um, and so, I don't want to say I wasn't a Stern fan because I was, but I wasn't that much of a Stern fan. I kind of got tired of him pretty quickly. But the big thing that happened was I moved, and my commute to work was about 25 minutes, and I would get in the car in front of my house, and I would get to work. The commercial would start on Stern, and when I got out of my car, the commercial was still going, right?
Right.
Whatever they were doing. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm not listening to this. So I just stopped, and I just stopped listening to it, but I had always listened to NEW, the rock, the rock station.
Right. Right.
Since I was a kid. I mean, I remember Dave Herman?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what happened to him, right?
Now, what
All right.
happened?
Well, we'll get to that in a minute. But in
All
any event,
right.
I used to listen to NEW, and I can remember like being in my backyard and Dave Herman and Dennis Elsis, and I can't even think of who else. And there was like a thing when I was growing up. There was a thing between NEW and PLJ because they were
Oh
fighting
my
each
gosh,
other,
PLJ, I remember that. Yeah.
right?
I'm
And
kind of
so,
old, so I know these stations.
so I had NEW on, just listening to music, and somebody said something nasty about these other people, but I didn't put anything together. And then Opie and Anthony came on, and it was hilarious. I could not stop laughing, and particularly at Anthony with his voices. And this was back when I guess O&A and Anthony were getting along,
Right.
and I just became a huge O&A fan. And like you, when Anthony got fired, I went over. I bought a Compound subscription, and I would listen. I really liked Anthony. I really liked Dixon's Crime Report, and I really liked Aaron and Gino
Right.
on In Hot Water. And and it's funny because it almost became like Aaron and Gino were more. I was watching them more and Dixon more than I was watching Cumia.
Right.
Because after a while, the race stuff and the political stuff, I'm like, ah. And Aaron and Gino were funny. And then when Aaron left and Gino lost his mind, um, it just wasn't funny anymore. And Dixon left, and there just weren't that many people. And I wasn't really into the Chrissy Mara and the Wet Spot and whatnot. But that had a lot to do with so many hookers, just strippers and porn
Right.
stars and things
Right.
like that. I was like, oh, I get it. And but I'm probably older, and that was probably more for the younger guys. And I still have. I had a friend who fell in love with a stripper, and it degenerated into him winding up going to jail because of it, and because she got used to limo rides and things like that. He wound up stealing money from the company to fund this stuff. And I was like, yeah, just stay away from that stuff.
Right.
But I was watching Cumia, and I'd heard about him talking about Opie with Carl. And that was where I got started. And I thought it was very funny. And then the John stuff started, and I thought it was hilarious.
Right.
And I thought Carl did it well. I felt in the beginning, Rico did it well. And then when they got into the super chats and stuff, it was like the Stern world all over again, right? I got, you're interrupting the commercials to do this other thing that you have to do, but you'd rather just do super
Right.
chats. You
I mean,
know,
it's like you're interrupting the commercials kind of for more commercials that you
right?
like better. You know,
It,
I
ex-
think I think super chats kill a show. I'll be honest with you, I do. I think it's killed KB. He would probably argue the point with me, but I think it's killed Misery Loves Company. I think it's killed Shuli. It's killed really everything because these people that send in money, and I'm guilty, I've sent super chats too, but they control the show. They become the executive producers, and that's
right,
not how it should be. And
right.
and they just want to hear their name and see their little thing up there. And I was guilty of that. I would send super chats. I was like, oh my God, they got to my super chat. Let me screenshot that. Oh, I got that. And I had all this shit in my hard drive, like, oh, MLC this day, MLC that, like all these super chats. I'm like, why am I keeping these? Why am I keeping these dumb things I sent?
Yeah, and then it becomes weird because it's like the people who super chat the most are also like the in crowd, right? And you kind of feel excluded because I'm not, my $2 super chat is nothing compared to these other people.
Right,
And I got to
right,
tell you, I am not sending $50 to a show. It's not going to happen. You know, it's just I can't do it. Now I've been to all the events. Shouldn't say all of them. I've been to DabbleCon. I went to DabbleCon 2. I went to Hackmania. I went up for subreddit surfing. Um, but I had bought a ticket because John was supposed to be the next night.
right.
So I was like, I bought it already. Let me go up. And yeah, I went to Atlantic City last year. So it's like I like this, and I met these people. Like I met the Bentleys, and I met Reels. I met those really nice people, and nothing wrong with it. But it's like you can see how for a lot of these guys, it's like they're kind of intimidated because they don't have the kind of money to send to things, or they have a wife that would absolutely kill them if they saw them, sending out
Right.
hundreds of dollars a month to somebody. But I look, it works. I get it. I mean, and it keeps them on the air, like it enables them to do it.
Right.
But I do think that they've killed it.
I don't mind it, but when it takes over the direction of a whole show, it kind of bothers me because now they've become executive producers by proxy. So that
Exactly.
bothers me a little bit. And you lose some creativity when you start just being a slave to the chats. I'm excited as far as Atlantic City. I'm very excited to go. I'm leaving Friday morning. I'm looking forward to meeting, off the top of my head, Lady KB, Mammy. I'm not calling her mommy. She's Mammy, like a old slave movie, but Mammy. Um, Leo Gunn, Bill from Jersey, and et cetera, et cetera. So I'm excited about that. And I'm overdue for a gambling trip.
Cool.
So, we'll do that. But yeah, I get it about the super chats, and that's not sustainable. Like even KB, I'm I don't count his money, but I can see things dwindling on his end. I can see things dwindling on Shuli's end and this end and that end. So it's just hopefully you'll get monetized soon, so you can get a couple shekels and just a few
Yeah,
bucks would be nice. That'd be nice. So
I have no. Look, if I get monetized, it's great, but I don't have any desire to get monetized. Like I'm not working towards getting monetized. I would just like to become uh serviceable as a host. To learn how to do this a little bit and not be so. I'd like to know how to use the equipment, and I'm having fun because I'm getting to hang out with Sarah. People have asked me to come on their show. Um, I've gotten to like go face to face with Joey C. and give him a hard time, and ask him questions that other people don't seem to ask him,
right.
and then listen to the obfuscations. Um, what did this is Leo Gunn. Sheckler shame me out of the pay pig biz. These hacks will be lucky to even get $5 out of me going forward.
Oh, damn it. Dan and I get our monetization back in March. Hang in there, Leo. We need you. We
It
need
takes that.
you. I
Wow.
need eggs, man. I need eggs.
It's going to take that long to get your monetization back?
You know what? Dan lost monetization, like, I forget, like when the debates went on, he's like, we lost our super chats. I'm like, yeah, whatever, we'll keep going. And then we got back, we got like some super chats and memberships. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And what we do with the money is we just put it back into, maybe we're buying like headphones, or, maybe we're going to put like, like I'm going to put up panels on my wall.
Right.
But, I don't have super chats. I'm just going to do it. And, Dan spent all this money on coffee mugs and all this stuff that he sent over here that I'm sending out to the Borgata to give out to all the friends, that you included. I have to get rid of it, to be honest with you. But, it's a goodwill thing. We don't want to sell merch. But we don't have super chats again until March. And I was like, real mad. I was like, damn it, we don't have super chats. This fucking sucks. This is bad. But then I thought about it. I was like, whatever. We do this for fun. We're not looking to grift. We're not looking to make super chats. But when I see like Joey C and this guy and that guy getting them, I'm like, you know what? How altruistic should we actually be? Like, we could take it and put it back in the show, and we could take excess and give it off to charity, because we always did things for charities.
That's what I want. That's what I wanted to do. Actually, I was working with Dave on that, where we're going to put up a banner where people could send money instead of sending it to me.
Right.
But this is, so I've heard this before. This is Tuna Town 666. People who complain about big super chats are jealous that can't give them and they aren't getting them. And I think we just disagreed with that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm never jealous of somebody getting super chats and KB, or somebody getting $100, $200 or whatever. It's fabulous. Whatever makes this thing roll, do whatever you want. Spend what you want. And like I said, Dan and I'm on Dan's channel right now. Dan and I have lost it, got it back, and lost it again. We don't know why. We don't know what we showed or what happened, but we lost it. But he appealed, and we'll get it back in March. But you know what? If anybody in this universe makes a couple bucks, God bless, and good for them. Seriously. If you're coming into this looking specifically like what I call the KB factor, and a lot of people came into podcasting, and a lot of chatters, and I was a chatter. So, like, don't get me wrong, I didn't want to ever do this. But everybody comes in and goes, well, I want to make 30K a month, and I want to make this. Nah, that's the wrong way to go about it. Do it because you have fun. And when it's not fun, walk away for a while.
Right.
I would say it's John too.
I would say, I would say it a little different, which is that if it's a business to you and you want to make 30K a month, then treat it like a business and work on, and you understand that that's what you're there for. You're not there for the joy of it or the love of it or whatever. You're there because you want to make 30K a month, and treat it like that. And there's a system, I think, or a process by which you could do that. But I think it sucks all the fun out of it. On the second point about big super chats are jealous they can't give them, I'm not. I can, but I don't, and I won't, and because I think it's a waste. It's just, there are better ways for me to spend my money, and I don't get. There's no payoff for me, right? Like, look, it's obviously nice to have somebody mention you on a show, but if somebody's mentioning Deb because you gave $50 or $100, is that nearly as rewarding as somebody mentioning Deb because they saw you on something, or your super chat was exceptionally funny or
right
on point? that's the part that gets me. So
I mean, I'd rather be acknowledged because I said something clever than just because I sent you 5 or 10 or whatever dollars. And I used to super chat KB a lot. And I used it as kind of a workshop. So I would take something, write a joke. I picked up a pen, but I'd write a joke and I'd submit it. Kind of, I looked at it like comedy training school. I'd write a joke, submit it to KB. If he didn't laugh, I was like, okay, that was kind of a bomb. We scratched that. Or I'd look at the chatters. Oh, they're not laughing at this, or they're just groaning or whatever. And I would be like, okay, scratch that. So it was more to me, not like really having this person acknowledge me. Because I don't give a fuck if KB knows Kevin Brennan, not Sweetie
right,
KB.
I understand. Yes.
But I don't care if he knows who I am or not. I'll see him in Atlantic City, and I'll just come up to him. But so I used it as like, okay, this is a cheap comedy training school. And I would fire off jokes, and some would hit really good, and some were flops. And I was like, okay, cool. That's like hiring KB to critique jokes. That's worth it for me for $5 or $2. Rarely did I go, like the most I ever spent on a super chat to KB was like $10. You know, and that's rare. And I call Dan $2 Chuck because everything he's all over. Every time I turn something on, it's like I see his chats. He's like the $2 assassin.
Right.
And
And
he gets his money worth out of that.
people know who he is and they like him.
Right.
So it's like
Right.
the $2 basically is getting you in the door. What I find distasteful is that the more money somebody's chat is, the funnier it is. When it's not, it's just, oh, somebody will make a comment, but it's a $10 comment, and you see KB laughing his ass off, and you're like, well, it wasn't really that funny, KB, you know?
Right.
But he knows what side his bread is buttered on. I was thinking about what you said. I was trying to look at the numbers, and I know how much money he made last year. I was trying to figure out when he made that, like what period of time. I'm fascinated by the numbers. I'm fascinated by.
I love accounting, and I that's so boring to say, but I love accounting. I love math, and I love numbers.
Yeah, I love seeing, but I'm a business guy, right? I've owned my
Right.
own business for a long time. So there's stuff I want to see. And it's like, what I think I see with KB, but I can't guarantee it, is that so last year, according to what the chart that I saw, he made about 250, he brought in about 250,000 gross. Through super chats. Now it doesn't count his Venmos and PayPal's
Or
it's just
memberships, right.
right, just what I can see on here. And it looks to me like what happened was that it was weighted to the beginning of the year. Like most of that money he got up front, and in the last, say, 4 or 5 months, it hasn't been as lucrative as it was before.
Right.
And people are saying that it's just the Dabbleverse, that the whole Dabbleverse is losing steam and money. I don't know that that's true, but now I'm wondering, like, oh, is this why Kevin's doing 2 shows a day now? Is it all just about super chats?
I don't know. I used to call it now. Dan and I did the show on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And we were starting to build up a nice audience, and it was a crossover with Kevin Brennan fans and different things. And we initially, when Dan started, his fan base was the old O&A pests and the O&A forum guys. And he got in touch with, and I used to be the Anthony Cumia compound media expert, that he would call in and we would talk about Anthony Cumia and compound media. And then eventually, Dan said, oh, what do you know about this guy Steel Toe? What do you know about this guy and that guy? I was like, oh, well, this, and that. and we started teaming up, and we were like, oh, we're doing really good together as a team. So I don't really talk even about Kumia that much anymore, but now it's like, it's not even Stuttering John. We've never got into Stuttering John, but it's everybody else. And it's
Right.
kind of been a good thing, you know.
That's
Uh,
been yeah, that's what Dave and I sort of have been doing is
right,
we will get into Stuttering John occasionally, mostly because he just frustrates me so much. But we tend to look at the other people. We've looked we did a pretty decent show on Liam. That was
right,
fun,
right. Yeah.
you know. So all those so that yeah, it's these sort of secondary and tertiary people around the Stuttering John stuff. And it's also too like I don't know why I hate to say that I'm fascinated by this, but guys self-destructing for some reason just attracts me. It's like a train wreck, you know? Like, oh, I can see it happening, and then I can see like they caused it, and then afterwards their explanation for why it was somebody else's fault. It just blows me away.
I mean,
Yeah.
that I'll get into this later. I already told you one of the things I want to touch on is Rob Saul.
Right.
And apparently, me and him are in a war that I didn't realize we're in a war. But I totally will tell you why he sucks in a little bit.
Yeah.
But you know, but like things with Dan, and I'm reading the chat and Leo Gunn and KB and everybody likes Dan. Dan, he buys $2 chats because he can be succinct and send a zinger in 50 characters.
Right.
You know, how awesome is that? And every time I put on a clip show, it's like I see nice podcast, stupid. And he says this. He's executive producing all these shows. He's executive producing Chad's show. He's saying, hey, Chad, whatever. And Chad plays the clip. Hey, another guy, whatever. Ray, do this. And they do it. So his chats are so effective. And yes, Leo Gunn, he should be Chatter of the Year this year.
Yeah, his stuff is good. It's on point. I wish I was that quick
Yeah.
uh, with things. Like my chats are good ones are few and far between, and I tend to get caught up in the actual what we're actually talking about.
I have some zingers. I've had some flops, but like I said, I used to use Kevin Brennan as a comedy sounding board. So I would come up with something I thought was funny. I'd pay $5 if it went over the 50 character thing. I'd pay $5, wait for him to read it. And if he just didn't react or just looked at me, I was like, okay, that's a bomb. Cross that out. That's a bad joke. Cross that out. And I'd send something else and he'd laugh. I said, oh, and he'd say, oh, that's awesome, like classic joke. So I said, that's a great joke. So I look at it like I was paying for comedy school. I'm paying this guy $5 a clip to read my jokes and critique them, and then I could take it from there. So he was providing me with a service.
It's funny because I think I don't watch MLC a lot, and I rarely chat him or super chat him, but I did one day when the whole idea of the show came up in Atlantic City and the Tennessee Beer Hall, and I'm sitting there and I'm watching Chad. He just kept saying it'll be fine. Every time somebody asked him, it'll be fine. And I kept asking questions that were making Kevin nervous. Like, are you guys? And then it's funny because I'm sending them, and the next thing I know, I'm getting DMs and text messages from other dabblers, like,
Right.
keep going, keep going. And I'm like, I don't know, there's only so much you can do with Chad.
Right.
But so you said Atlantic City, you're looking forward to meeting KB, who I've met, and very, very sweet. I thought she was really sweet and nice.
I think she's beautiful. I think she's sweet. I hear she's very statuesque. So I'll feel a little Chad-like inferior when she's towering over me at 6 feet. I'll have to wear heels or go tippy toe myself. But KB's lovely. Mammy, I will not call her mommy, but Mammy is sounds like the life of the party. So she's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know what other ladies are going, but I'm looking forward to meeting Bill from Jersey. I think Nick at Fort Wayne. I'm trying to write down all the names because I have merch for all of them.
Oh, cool.
You know, Dan and merch for you. Dan way over ordered on these mugs, and I just want them the hell out of my house. But I have mugs. I have coffee mugs. I have from Dan. I have beanies that the ladies will definitely get. Teamster Tim and Leo Gunn and KB. You're like, I have about 12 beanies, so I have to be selective who gets them. But I have calendars, I have pens. I think he got door hangers that say "Do not disturb. I'm getting laid." I didn't open them. I just threw them in the box, you know. But the funny, kind of goofy, funny stuff. But hopefully, everybody will get something. So, you know, and that's why I'm trying to do a roll call on Twitter. I put a roll call. Who's going? And like I said, Schmuel, you're on my list. The Culligans got in touch with me, Nick of Fort Wayne, Leo Gunn, Tio Hank. So I have a lot of names there, and even Felicia. If Felicia goes, I have a gift bag for her too. So we're not gonna exclude anyone.
Yeah, that's fun. I just saw a very funny, to me, a very funny chat. No one will be eating those.
that
This is
that's perfect.
this is yeah. This is someone who knows their Dabbleverse.
She does. She does.
Oh, does she have a new? Is this KB?
That's KAYB. Yes.
Is that our KB?
That
KB?
is our lovely KB.
KB. I didn't realize that was you. I would have put you up earlier. I didn't recognize. I don't know. The logo looks different, so I thought it was K. I didn't even realize the B. So different than I'm used to saying. But
put her back up. She's so pretty. Put her back up one more time.
She is.
Look at that. I love those glasses too. She's so pretty, and I love her.
But I gotta say, beyond being pretty, she's really nice, and being as tall and well endowed as she is, she draws a lot of attention. So even a schmo like me, I said hello to her. She was very nice. Talked for a few minutes, nothing big. It was in Vegas, and she was walking around, very, very sweet person. And I actually saw her. I didn't know it, but I saw her at Pottstown.
Okay.
Her and Mommy were at Pottstown. I hadn't met either one of them at that time. But now I know Mommy. I met Mommy at Ray's birthday party. And you are correct. She is the life of the party. And she does take her parties seriously.
Right.
So it will definitely, it should definitely be fun. I am laughing, going back to the no one will need door hangers. I had the formation of a stupid joke, which was that I don't know how they're going to do. Somebody asked if you're going to do a minute of stand up, right?
Right.
And I'm like, how is anybody, like, the size of this club? I mean, the club has a capacity of 60. And if you've seen the Dabbleverse, what is that, 40? You know, I mean, how are these guys going to fit in there?
Now, Schmuel, how many people did they get last year? They had Stuttering John, which is the white whale. That's the person you kind of want. They had Chino. How many people did they have at Tennessee Beer Hall?
So Tennessee Beer Hall was packed. Okay. But there were maybe, so let's say that I saw the total capacity is 85. That's what I read in the Atlantic City fire code or whatever. So let's assume that there were 80 people there. If there were 80 there, I'm going to say 20 were there for the show.
Right.
But a lot of people just walked in. You know, I was one of the schmucks that paid for it. And they didn't even care. We were like, oh, we have a ticket. Yeah, whatever. That was fine. That was fine. And then at the end of the night, as we were leaving, the waitress came over and she says, "Hey, did you guys say you'd bought a ticket?" And I said, "Yeah." And then she asked my name. Then, oh, thank you. But very few people, if any, actually paid for it.
And that happened, honestly, I heard that happened with Hackamania, that happened with other events, DabbleCon and different things, that
See,
people kind of just showed up and walked in.
but it's very different. The Hackamania thing, I heard that, but I was there. I didn't see that. But the the way Hackamania was set up, there was a bar and then a showroom behind the bar. So it's possible that people walked in um, and got a drink, but I thought they were telling most people this was a private event. I didn't see people who were not wearing their badges.
Right.
And that's the big difference. Like everybody had a badge, but there were no people in the showroom that I saw who were not wearing a badge. Now, is it
Right.
possible they switched them with somebody else? I guess, but I don't think so. And the same thing with DabbleCon. Like you had to have a badge in order to get in.
Right. Now,
So
did you have fun at DabbleCon? Did you have fun at Hackamania? Who did you hang out with? Who did you get to know? Did you hang out with the potato? Did you hang out with Carl? Did you say
so
hello to
I did
Kumia?
not hang out at Hackamania. I did not hang out with those guys. I hung out with Dixon, Bentley, uh, some beloved chatter a little bit, uh, Tukey a little bit, those people. But I had so much fun at Hackamania, and I was laughing because I wasn't getting back to my hotel room until the sun was starting to come up,
Right.
and I don't drink, and there was not a lot. It was hard to gamble downtown because the games were so bad.
Right.
This was just like hanging out, and they would go. The shows would happen. That I liked the place that they had the event at. I thought it was really cool. And then afterwards, everybody would go back to the hotel. Then they would meet in the lobby, and different groups of people would go different places. So, I mean, it was possible to hang out with Carl. It was possible to hang out with these other guys, but for me, it just didn't happen.
Right.
Because I was spending more. I don't know. They were, they're funny because they were like, they had a plan and they were going to go somewhere. And I was like, I didn't really know that I wanted to be part of a plan.
Did you say hello to Carl? Did you say hello to
Yes.
Patrick?
Oh,
Okay.
I hung with Patrick a little bit.
Okay.
Like it was Patrick, Cupcake. There were other people, Dixon, those
Right.
guys, like we hung out, like we were in the casino, all standing over by a bar, hanging out for an hour or two.
Right.
And that's why I didn't go out with the other people, was because these guys wanted to go out. And it was like, oh, we were hanging out, talking. And then, so plenty, and Carl is very nice. Everybody is like super nice.
And I met them myself. I met comedians of the compound. I met Kumi a few times. I
Right.
met Gino, Kiki, Chrissy, all like the big players, I guess. And I found them all to be lovely and very nice. And I guess like you have something going on with Gino, and maybe we'll get into that after we talk about AC. Because I still want to talk. I see you laughing because you kind of want to talk about it because you were ambushed the other night when I watched you on Quad show. No offense to Quad, we're going on there Wednesday, but I felt you were like bamboozled when you went on there and I jumped
Yeah. I
almost.
called it being sandbagged.
Yeah, yeah. But I would like to talk about like wrap up AC
Yeah.
and
No.
and
I'm with you.
AC is like I'm very skeptical that it's going to go off without a hitch. Now you sent me pictures of it with there's drop cloths down. It doesn't really look like they're doing major renos there.
Right. There
Yeah.
aren't, and I'm gonna sidetrack for 1 sec before we do that because I have to make a comment about Cupcake.
Okay.
Um, Hackamania was a blast. White Castle. Um, one of the people who pay, who's got money and whatnot, gave. I don't know how many people were there. Probably 4 or 5, and somebody gave them like a couple of $100, and they decided to go to White Castle with it, and they felt like they had to spend
Nice.
the $200 at White Castle between these people. And apparently it's very hard to eat $200 worth of food at White Castle, but they did manage. And Cupcake was, I don't know if you met Cupcake. He's not going to be in AC. He'll be at
I
Hackamania.
I know him, and I know him. He follows me, and I follow him on Twitter. I know him from, I follow him, and I saw that he was at Hackmania last year. He's a good egg, so I like him.
Yeah, I know
You
he's
know,
a, and he and he's
yeah.
a good he's a good guy, and White Castle has great mozzarella sticks. And Leo Gunn is another person I met. I've known, I guess Leo and I have probably gone back and forth on Twitter and all that stuff for years. But I know Leo. I met Leo in person at Ray's birthday party as well. And
Okay. And that was the one. Mommy had like shirts and different things,
yes,
correct? Yes.
Mommy showed up with. She had these I-80 killer shirts,
They were
and
kind of awesome. They were
did
kind of
you? They
cool.
were. It was
They
like
were really cool.
I was blown away. She had. I wish I could remember what the other one was, but she had another one that she had to put in her car because Ray was so offended by it.
Like he
But
didn't want to wear the one of those that she bought. I
right,
remember that.
there were
Yeah.
two of them, right? The one was the I-80, was great. It was the I-80 shield, the interstate shield, and it had claw prints across it. Leo Gunn still has a bag of those I-80 stupid I-80 killer shirts.
Leo Gunn, please give me one of those extras when I see you in New Jersey. I would love to have that.
I
If
want
I
I want
want
one as
one of
well.
those. Yes.
It's funny when it comes to this stuff. I don't like asking. I don't like free stuff. I don't like asking for it, you
Right.
know?
And I don't
And I
either.
and
Yeah,
I
we
saw the
don't.
shirt and I was like, "Man, I really want one." But I asked somebody, "Oh, can we buy them?" And they're, "Oh, no, 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 mommy's giving them out." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And but I didn't want to ask her about it, and she didn't have any left by the time I was looking for it. And she's since promised me she'll give me one the next time she sees me. But
Right.
it was great. What was the other shirts? Oh, that was the other shirt. But
uh,
but that's like, mommy, that's the thing, is she's funny with hi, good night. She's funny with my hold on a second. I have weirdness going on here. She, she's funny with Kara. Sorry.
that's okay.
Somebody have a guest here and the young lady cannot find her phone. Um d-
If you shoot her, we won't tell.
yeah. So, but it was they're creative, right? Like I wouldn't
Right.
have thought of it.
Right.
And that's that thing that I think keeps me in the Dabbleverse more than anything else is the creativity of these people. I bought a painting and some prints from it's Cardiff's Kids. She's
Okay.
Shirley
Yeah.
Temple Blackish. And oh man, they're fantastic, right? In any event, let's get back to AC. So remind me what the question was.
I
I'd sent you
forget.
pictures.
I forget, but you had sent me pictures of the construction, and if you have them handy, maybe we could put them up. Let the viewers see what you saw.
Yeah, if I do have them, I'll take a look. I don't know if I do though.
And if you could like kind of give us a heads up on what state they're in. As far as
Yeah,
renovations,
but
it didn't look like that big of a deal. When you sent me one of the pictures when I asked, and I saw drop cloths, and I was like, oh, they're just painting, whatever.
bottom line, my impression was they were fixing something in the ceiling.
Right.
That was because all of, I don't actually have the pictures handy, but the they the booze was out, right? So
Right.
the floor was covered. There were drop claws all over the floor, but the tables, this place it's essentially all high top tables, 4-seaters, and those were just all pushed into a corner. The chairs they weren't covered. The liquor wasn't covered. The bar wasn't covered.
Right.
So it's like, how much could they really be doing? And I tried to talk to the guy, and he was cool, but he also didn't want to say anything.
Do you think so? The guy, was that the owner? Was that
No, it was one of the contractor guys.
okay? Do you think that this place will be ready for Kill Kevin, or do you think that this may be delayed? Because I've been involved with different construction projects, and a lot of times they're not ready upon completion.
My opinion is that there's no reason why this place will not be open for Kill Kevin.
Okay.
That the disaster is going to be the place itself. It's not the renovation. It doesn't matter what they renovate. The place is just not set up to host an event like this.
Now, you went last year and they had Stuttering John, they had Sheena, they had Chad, they had all these different people go up. How did that work out?
Well, Stutcho did not perform.
Okay.
Okay. So he was, by the time he was pretty much, as he says, half in the bag. Well,
Right.
he seemed to be all the way in the bag even before he got there.
Okay.
And I think he was sitting at a table behind me with Deeds. I think Dirty Deeds was there. But he was with him, and John's only performance was Keanu opened up, right? She was the host.
Right.
And then Tony Mazer came up, and nobody was paying attention. Right. And I felt bad for Tony Mazer because I was like, this guy really is trying hard, but he's just not funny. It was just like, it wasn't there. Keanu annoyed me because I'm like, I have terrible stage fright. And this chick is up there, yapping away, telling her stories, and she stinks. Like, there wasn't a chuckle. She didn't even slip and fall for a chuckle. I mean, there was nothing. But then if I remember the order correctly, it was Keanu came up, Tony Mazer came up, did his set, then Keanu came back up to bring on Chad, and that's when John stood up. So John stands up, he walks over to the front, and he says something along the lines of, Hey guys, you got really good comedians here. You need to pay attention. So he was giving us a pep talk on how to listen to comedy. And that was it, essentially. He was drinking. And it's hard to express how loaded he was. Like, he's not, and it's that not falling down drunk. It's they're past falling down drunk. So now they're just like, they're standing up, but you just keep putting alcohol into them. And I kind of felt bad for the guy. Until I remembered who he is, but that's an entirely different story. But that was his thing. Like, he got up, he wanted to help everybody out. And as probably happens to John a lot, people were laughing at him.
Okay.
And not because he was humorous, because it was sad. And then Chad did his set, and I was laughing because I'm going like, I'd seen Chad someplace once before. I don't remember where. It's probably someplace in New York. And I don't remember him I don't really, I know I saw him, but I don't really remember him. So he must have been unremarkable. And he was doing this. He gets up and he's doing a set, and he looked and sounded like he had it, and I was laughing, and I'm like,
Okay.
wow, this is great. Then all of a sudden, there were these guys sitting over in the corner. I think Johnny Carson was one of them, and some other people. They're like secret show people or something. And
Mhm.
they were talking. And then all of a sudden, Chad looked very nervous and he launched into different material. Uh, the celibate thing he does, where celibate,
Mhm.
wait till you're married or something. And other jokes that seemed probably would have been funny during George Bush. And I was told later on that the reason why the first jokes were funny was because they were KB's jokes he was doing,
Right. That, and I heard that too.
right? And
Yeah.
then left on his own, he stunk.
Yeah.
And I feel bad. I mean, it just it's like all old material.
Right.
And but it seemed like he was nervous. To me, I got like the feeling like he was nervous. He wasn't going to take any chances. He was just going to go with something that he knew 100%, and that's
Right.
what it was going to do. And he kind of embarrassed himself doing it.
Now, why did you give up your tickets to kill Kevin?
No, I
And
did not. I still
oh,
have my tickets.
okay, so you're going.
I am. That's my
Okay.
plan. Unless unless I go and find out that Chad refunded them. But
Now, are you doing a stand-up set? Are you going to go up there and do like a minute?
no, I wasn't going to do anything. I'm just going to the show. My personal opinion is, I did not get a chance to be at the Hindenburg, so I want to be here.
Okay, for another bomb. But I've corresponded with you back and forth, and I'm very pessimistic that this will go according to plan. And maybe that's very negative on my end, but I'm like, there's all these things that have to come together to make this work. And I keep saying, like, what are they paying the venue? Like a broken record. What is the venue getting for this? Are they getting a guaranteed like 2 drink or 2 item minimum? Are they getting a cut at the door? What is Tennessee Beer Hall getting? Now, I've been to Atlantic City in the off season. It's pretty freaking dead. But we have the Super Bowl coming up with the Eagles in there. And I think
Right.
like a little bit more people from Philly might, Philly and other parts of Jersey might actually come up to the casinos to gamble and have a fun time. But what do you think?
Well, I mean, here's my thing is the Tennessee Beer Hall is not equipped for this.
Right.
I don't think that they made a deal. This is last year. I don't think they made a deal with the Tennessee Beer Hall. From what I understand, Ken Mosca is the guy who does most of the comedy booking in Atlantic City. He got them this place to do the show. And I think the Tennessee Beer Hall was like, hey, if you're going to have, 25 people in here and they're going to drink, that's great. Or they expected more,
Right.
obviously.
Right.
Um, so I don't know the Tennessee Beer Hall got any of the money from the ticket sales. But I don't think that there was any splitting of the drinks. And, there was no doorman. There was nobody was checking anything. And so the way that I understand it is Mosca set it up and it was, look, you guys can charge what you want. You guys can do what you want. We in the beer hall don't care. As long as these people come in and drink and we fill up we fill up the bar,
Right.
that's what we care about. And most of the people are pretty good drinkers. So I don't think they were in danger of people showing up and not getting anything.
Right. Because I've seen other groups, like fan groups and stuff, and a lot of people are cheap. and they'll go to like these events and they don't like they order water and they just don't buy anything.
Right.
Now I'm looking at the chat and Tuna Town says they're going to get 60 people drinking and eating. Um, Mintiggity says it's a shithole. Nobody's going there.
Yeah.
Different opinions, but some people say, you know what, they're going to spend money.
I,
And other
I
people say they won't. I don't know. I don't know these people in real life.
uh,
They certainly spend on the super chats, so we'll hope
uh,
they spend in the venue.
these are not cheap people,
Right.
right? Um, these people were drinking. I was watching them drink at DabbleCon, and they were paying like $17 a drink. I mean, it
Okay.
was insanely expensive. They're not cheap, and I think this is 100% wrong after having been there last year. Um, I didn't go last year to go to any event. We were going anyway. Um, I was lucky enough to have been comped a room for the night of the Super Bowl and the Monday, the day after. And
Right.
then when we heard about this show, I was like, oh, let's go down and we'll go see the show. And that's what cost me about, I had to stay at like a Holiday Inn Express or something on Saturday night,
Okay.
and it cost
Okay.
me like $250.
Right.
Um, but we went anyway, that's what we went down, and it was just a lot of fun because you got to meet people, and the Stuttering John thing was the real draw last year.
Right.
It was like you couldn't believe who he was then versus who he is now.
Right. And you
You know,
got to see him in the flesh, in the rotting flesh, but you got to see him for reals. So that's
right?
kind of cool. That's
And
kind of
you
cool.
and
He's the Dabbleverse. That's what it's built upon. So to see him face to face is kind of neat.
yeah, and I mean he was just hanging around. His my impression, and it's just my impression, was he was he had a lot of alcohol in him, and he was just hanging around. And he would, when he talked, kind of mumbling, talking. But he just sat, like he sat with KB for a really long time, and then he sat with
Mr.
somebody else,
KB or Lady KB?
Mr. KB,
Okay.
right? He was with Kevin. He was there when the fight, the Bob Levy throwing the drink
Right.
thing happened. The Was it Saturday night? I don't remember what night it was when he got into the fight with Melton, and it was Melton he got into a fight with, and he called security on
Right.
him, and he's telling security,
I think that was the first night. I think
yes, but I
it
can't remember whether
all
the first,
happened like that first time.
right. I,
Yeah.
I just can't remember whether the first night, if I can't remember whether I was there for it or not, because I don't know if the first night was Friday, but I think the first night was Saturday. I think that's when it happened.
Right.
And then he had Dawn and
Dawn of
Hitman
the
Dan
Dead. Yep. Dawn of the
and
Dead.
Hitman Dan with him,
Right.
and
And
you
Vinny.
know there was powder flowing, going around,
Right.
and then and Stevie Lou was there. It was pretty wild, like to see all these people, right?
Right. Right.
And I'd never met Stevie Lou. Not that it was very exciting, but it was nice to put a name and a height to the face. He's a really tall guy.
Isn't he like 6'5" at least? He
He's
seems very tall, like 6'7".
Yeah,
Yeah.
he is, and he's thin as well.
Right.
So, like, Patrick is big. Patrick's probably 6'4", 6'5", but he's a giant man.
Right.
And Stevie Lou is he's very tall. He looks like, to me, he looked like a runner.
Right.
But he was very nice. We got into a fight later, but
in a fight, Patrick Melton versus Stevie Lou. Who wins in a fight? Knockdown, drag out, no rules. Who wins?
I'm gonna say Stevie Lou.
Okay.
Only because I think that Stevie Lou probably has more stamina and his ability to move. I don't know that Patrick would be able to hit him as much,
Right. Okay.
you
Fair
know?
enough. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he would, it's like the old, Muhammad Ali. He would just wear him out.
Right.
So, but I don't think Patrick's fighting anybody, by the
So,
way.
as far as AC, do you think this will go off without a hitch? Do you think this is going to be just a total bomb? What do you think this is going to end up being?
Well,
Will
there
the
were two
people be
ACs,
happy?
right? There were two ACs that are happening, though, right? The one is the Chad show, which I think is going to be a complete disaster.
The chat show is the only AC because if they're going to go, it's the Chad Kill Tony show is the show. Going to Hard Rock to track down Dog Saul is a joke. Anything else is a joke. It's what is going to happen at the Tennessee Beer Hall. Will it be a bust? Will Wimby drop the ball? Will he try his best? What do you think of that? Like, I don't think anything else is the show. The
Oh,
show is the Tennessee Beer Hall. That
see,
is it.
based on last year, the show was such a disaster, and the time at the hotel at the Borgata with all the people, that was the most fun. Like getting to
Right,
hang out, talk, gamble a little bit, do all those things. That was the part that I really enjoyed. But my opinion about the show is it's going to be a flop because
right,
because and even I don't think Chad's doing anything to organize this. He doesn't seem to know what the hell what he's doing, or as if he even cares. I don't know what Winby's situation is. I don't know how involved he is in this. I don't know how
right,
involved Kevin is in this. But the Tennessee Beer Hall, there's no stage, right? You've
right,
got, like I said, it was all high top tables. There's a few low ones, all high top tables. There's a giant space when you go walking in the front door. When you go from front to back, there's a lane that they've set aside for people moving in and out and for service. So you're talking about a flat place. You're talking about so people in the back, if these guys are sitting at a table up front, nobody's going to be able to see them.
right.
And then last year, the sound system consisted of a karaoke machine that they got out of the trunk of somebody's car.
Okay.
Nothing is much fun as being at a comedy show and watching Chad and Tony Mazer reading the manual on how to get the karaoke machine to work. And
Right,
the best part is it has the flashing lights in front of it.
right.
So as they were doing comedy, you could see the lights flashing on the karaoke
Yeah,
machine.
yeah.
And but yeah, that's what I don't see, and I don't see people are saying with the 1 minute comedy they're going to do 1 minute sets, and I've had several people tell me that they were going to do them. I just don't see how it works.
Right,
Yeah, I don't need because I also don't see in a place that's this small. I don't see how you have enough control to be able to do something like that. They couldn't get people to shut up last year. How are you going to get them to shut up this year?
right. My big question is, and I've asked this, and you already know it, and I'm going to say it again. What does the venue get in return for closing down to other patrons?
Okay,
And
but
will
they're not closing down their patrons. That's the big thing.
Chad was like, "Oh, you can't get in for free if you go early. You can't get in for free, and we're gonna have this like a private party." But
Nope.
so if I go at 5 o'clock with my friend that's meeting me, and we want to get chicken wings and shit and drink some beers, are they gonna kick our asses out when it's time for Kill Kevin?
No. That's the
Okay,
thing.
okay,
If you call, somebody did yesterday, call the Tennessee Beer Hall, ask them if next Saturday is a private event, ticketed only. They say no. It's open. There will be something going on at the same time, but
right,
you're welcome to come.
right,
So I don't think you have to go in at 5. I
right.
think you just walk in and
And just say like, "Oh, I don't know," like I don't know her. As the joke goes, I don't know her.
Yeah.
Oh, you're here for Kill Kevin? No, I just want chicken wings and beer.
And that's what it was last year. Like people
Yeah,
were walking in, they saw the show, and it was funny because I saw these two guys walk in, and this guy walks in and he goes, "Oh, there's a show." And the waitress is like, "No, no, no, come on in. Come on in." And the place, we probably dabble verse people. I'm assuming when I got there, the place was about half full. We had no problem getting a seat right up front. And it got full as the show was going on. The bar got full. When the
right,
show ended, the bar was full, but very few of the people that were in the bar were in the bar for the show.
right,
They just came in to get beer and drink. That Saturday night in AC, it's even in the middle of the winter. It's a tough place to
right.
find anywhere to go. I mean, we were looking at Mrs. B and I were looking at reservations, and we were going. I think the show was at 8. We were trying to make reservations at 6 at Doc's Oyster's house. Doc's
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Oyster,
yeah.
which is where we got engaged.
Right.
And it's always great because my wife does not eat seafood, so why would I do it there? And I did it because I had to get it over with. But we were going to go. They wanted $400, a $400 reservation hold, and you don't have to spend $400. But
Right.
if you no showed, it was $400.
Right.
And then she that told her that by the time she called me and I got back to her, the reservation that we were going to get at 6 was now like 7:45 was the one. They had like 4:30 and 7:45. So we didn't do that. And we wound up, this is Saturday. So we wound up getting, the only place we get reservations was at McCormick and Schmick's,
Oh, okay.
which
Yeah.
is in Harris, with
Right.
nothing in the Borgata. So that's separate. That was Saturday night. So,
Right.
and we did eat at the Tennessee Beer Hall last year,
Yeah.
and that's why we're making reservations someplace else. It just wasn't very good.
Yeah.
And
Now, I don't know, I'm not doxing you and I don't know where you live, but I know you live in the vicinity to get to Jersey Shore. Are you going to kill Kevin? Or are you going just to hang out at the Borgata? What is your plans?
no, I definitely am going to kill Kevin. I mean,
Okay.
my original plan was we were going Sunday and Monday,
Okay.
and because of the kill Kevin thing, I was like, we have to go Saturday.
Right.
Now, luckily, we booked it when the room was about $150 at the Borgata, and I'm blown away by. Somebody told me the other day it was sick. They wanted 600 for a room.
I
Now,
don't know. I just looked at it. Actually, depending on the room, it's still pretty reasonable. I booked my room way ahead of time. When I woke up and said, I think I'm going to do this, I think I'm going to go to Lake City, I went right on and booked my room. Like, I didn't wait. So now all these people that waited are bitching. Oh my God, the room is $500.
I
Oh my God, the room is $600 for some resort fee. Fuck off. Should have booked it when they announced it. Just wake up and say, I'm going to book it. I didn't have to pay for it. I don't have to pay for it till like the 6th. Book
I
your fucking room, people. Book
right.
your fucking flight.
And
Seriously.
and you can
Every
cancel it, right? You can cancel it until the 6th or
I can
something.
cancel my
Yeah.
room till the 6th.
Right.
I got comped. I'm there for 4 nights. I got comped every single night, minus the dumb resort fee taxes, 30 something a night. And the last night it was $50. So and I haven't played there since COVID. So I was like, cool. Like,
Oh, that is.
I pulled it up, not putting in my MGM rewards, and it was still reasonable. Then I said, oh, wait a minute, let me pull it up. And it was like comp, $50, for the one day after the Super Bowl. But all these people bitching now, it's like, dude, Didn't you not know this was coming up? Like now
Right.
you wait. The Eagles are in the Super Bowl, which they're probably going to lose because I think it's all fixed. I do. I think it's fixed for Taylor Swift's boyfriend. But regardless, we're hopeful. And but it's like, oh, everybody's Kevin Bryant's like, $600. You know what? Fuck you. You should have booked it a month ago when you started talking about this. I did.
Right. Well,
I
KB did book his own room, from
right.
what I understand. But
Okay.
now this bringing of, world famous comedian Mike Bichetti, I have they want to put him in a room, and that's like $400. And you're also talking about $20 a ticket. You can sell 60 max, $1,200,
Right.
right? And oh, we're going to make the money on super chats. I don't see it.
That's if they can get the super chats to work. This whole thing about this live stream is really iffy. Now, Carl and Patrick Melton have done live shows and they've had hiccups and they're used to doing them. You were at Pottstown, they had major hiccups in Pottstown. So, what makes anybody think that this is going to go on without a hitch?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, Dan. I think this you're stating a fact. I think that money's long gone. Uh, I don't know. I'm assuming that Eventbrite lets you have the money before the event,
They
but
do. I looked it up. They do. You can cash out from Eventbrite every couple days.
so
So, you know what I mean? You can, the fact even that he had it refundable is crazy. He should, anything I've ever bought on Eventbrite usually is final sale,
right.
no refunds. And it's usually like comedy tickets. So if decide I don't want to go, I'm like, I'm at $20, fuck off.
Right,
Whatever. I
I'm
don't
the same
care.
way.
Yeah.
And it's like the only time it ever gets refunded is if the show gets canceled,
Right.
And
Right.
but he's just not that smart. I mean, we're this. I don't think Chad thought this was serious. I think he started with an idea, right? Like he said it, he just said it. I don't think he meant anything to happen. And then KB went on board, and then he was like, "I got to make KB happy. I got to make KB happy. I
Daddy.
did
Daddy.
these, Daddy. I got to get
Oh, daddy. Make daddy happy. Oh,
and
yeah.
because I think it started with him just wanting to pay for his airfare and hotel room so he could go to Florentine's Super Bowl party.
Right.
And originally he wasn't even staying at a hotel. He was going to stay with some guy, and then that got creepy. So I none of it. I can't figure out a way that any of it makes sense unless KB is going into his pocket, and that's always a possibility, or Borgo or somebody else.
I'm sure KB is paying for Bichetti's room.
Right.
Like, who's paying for Bichetti's room? I think KB is just like, yeah, whatever. Let me, bring him up there. I'll pay for his room. Do you think Chad is paying for it?
No, I don't think the proceeds of the show are paying for it either.
No, I don't either. But I think KB just is a good egg, honestly. And he just said, we'll get this guy. He's popular. He wants to go. I'll pay for his room. Bill from Jersey's going to pick him up from Staten Island. It's all good. And maybe it's Borgo. Maybe it's Maple Leaf.
Borgo paid for Mike's room. He already paid for it. Not a surprise. I mean, Borgo's paid for other things in the past. I think Borgo was the guy that put up the money to bring Stuttering John, right?
I think
onto KB's show.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna believe all these, Tuna Town and Leo Gunn and Dates. I'm gonna believe all those that Borgo kind of kicked up for the room. So that's cool.
So this is what when you ask me the question about AC, is it going to be a bust? Is it AC itself? To me, there's two ACs shows going on here. So there's this show on Saturday night that Chad is doing, and it's going to be a disaster. but I think it's like Gino last year where it was such a disaster. It was fun for him because they all got to hang out afterwards and
Right.
talk about it. So if you paid for it and you're expecting a show, um, I think you're going to be disappointed. But if you're expecting a disaster and seeing how Kevin tries to cover it and make it work right, I think it'll be fun. I think no matter what happens, it'll be fun.
It'll be fun. And if you go in there and just say, I'm expecting a hang, I
Right.
think you win. You say, I'm expecting a hang. I want to meet fellow chatters. I want to meet Chad. I want to meet KB, Mr. KB. I want to meet Lady KB. I want to meet these people. You're not
Mhm.
going to be disappointed.
Have you met any? Have you been to an event before with in the Dabbleverse or
Compound events. So I've met Chrissy and Frank, and I like compound
right?
Kiki, always compound events, no dabble events. Now the first DabbleCon, I bought tickets right away. I bought a VIP package. I spent 170, and then I said, "What the fuck? It's February in Rochester, and I live in Florida. Why would I go there? Why would I fly there?" I just ate that ticket. I was like, whatever. Consider it a gift to the artist. And I never went because I was like, what the fuck? You do not want to go to Rochester in February or
I
whenever,
will,
or January, whenever they were having
and
this.
it was like the coldest day of the year.
It was like
Now,
-3. I saw Chrissy and Anthony doing like live streams and like, oh my God, it's -3.
uh, that was
Oh,
like the go ahead. I was compound show at the Blue Claw Stadium in Lakewood in Jersey.
yeah.
That was another one. It rained the night before, so they canceled the show. They had it the next night, and it was drizzling and in the 40s.
And that's compared to Rochester when they had
Right.
DoubleCon 1 is like that's like tropical. I
I
mean,
but
it was bad. And
it,
I was
it
like, no, I don't want to go. Fuck it. I
I
bought the ticket early. Dumb on me. Let's just let it go. I tried to give it away and nobody wanted to go. They're like, Rochester? No, no, I tried. I tried to give the whole package away and then I just wrote it off and said, all right, consider it a donation to their cause and consider it a donation to the people performing.
that's the reason why I buy those tickets and stuff anyway. There's other stuff that I bought that I haven't gone to because I feel like it's sort of a contribution
Right.
and I want to support that stuff. But I will say that night I was checking the weather, the Rochester weather and the New York City weather, and the temperatures were within 2 or 3 degrees of each other. So I was like, it wouldn't have been, I mean, it would have been horrible in Rochester, but it wasn't any better in New York City.
Right.
So uh, they all claim it was because as time has progressed, it's gotten colder and colder on that night in Rochester
Yeah.
because they got to come up with they got to make it worse than it was. The
But
August one was great.
but I would go, I'm kind of sorry to go the one they had in Florida. And I'm on the fence about go to Hackmania. I kind of would like that too. That looks like a lot of fun.
I'm gonna say I've not had in any of the Dabbleverse things that I've been to. I've met very few people that I wouldn't want to meet again. I had a great time. Everybody was there for fun. Uh, all of the bullshit with this guy fighting that guy and being mad. There was none of that. Not at either of those events. And Hackamania particularly, it was like you couldn't sit down with somebody who's when somebody without somebody offering you a beer or
Right.
can I buy you a drink or
Right.
can I get you? It was like they were just the nicest people in the world. I don't know if you know this. Did you hear the story about Ray with the Pabst Blue Ribbon and the hot dogs?
No, I just know he went there. He got a standing ovation, and he was real happy.
So they had a what do you call it? In the hotel we were at, the downtown Grand, they had hot dog stand, and I believe it was $2 for a hot dog and a beer.
Was that the
And
bedbug hotel? Like they all stay. I heard a rumor they all stayed at a hotel and it was like bed bugs.
well, that's what they were trying to. It's funny because that was the one hotel that never had a bed bug report, but every other one, like the big ones on the strip, all had them. I,
Okay.
that was KB just trying to, it's KB being KB, right?
Right.
Somebody came up with the idea and let's do it. But the funny part was every time I would stand near that hot dog thing, somebody would be, "Can I buy you a hot dog? Can I buy you a hot dog?" It was just like everybody was really nice. And even at and the performers were all very personable
Right.
and were talking to you. And like to me, Tukey, I don't know what the word is. I'm not shy and I don't cower in the presence of greatness like that. But Tukey to me is like Rocco is amazing. I just think this guy is like he's so talented, he's amazing. And so I say hello to these guys, but I don't bother them. And it's just like, "Hi, nice to meet you." I don't need to be
Right.
their friends also. But there was a poker tournament and it got all fucked up because the World Series of Poker was in town at the same time. We all got separated. Anyway, it's about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I wanted to smoke a cigar. I'm sitting in the casino by a slot machine, and Rocco comes walking over to me and it's like, "How'd you do in the poker tournament? I heard got this far." And I was just like, why would this guy even care to do that? And just such a nice guy. And
Right.
everybody was like that, you know?
Right. And I think that when you meet people in person, it's a different dynamic. You can shit on people on these podcasts, but when you're face to face with them, and even like Chad, I think Chad always shit on Joey C. But Joey C and him met this past week, when his show was canceled. And now they're buddies. They're thick as thieves, I guess. And I think that it goes that way for anything. You could trash like Cardiff and you could trash Rocco, but face to face, you're like, yeah, we're all here to have fun.
Right. Because none of us are wanting to go to people's houses and destroy their jobs.
Oh,
And,
no, I know.
we're
No.
making
Yeah.
fun of it.
Yeah.
KB put up me question mark Lorkenzo, and Lorkenzo was one of the people that I was talking about earlier, where I said I was sitting at a bar and started talking. We were just talking, and this guy Lorkenzo, when we were talking, and we got to talk about where he was from and what was going on, and you're like, I would never have met this guy. And since then, I mean, not like we're buddies, but I send him a note every now and then, like, "How you doing?
Right.
What's going on? Are you going to go to the?" So it was a lot of, and there was another guy, Admiral Urbani, who's another giant man, like
Okay.
big, and just like such a nice guy. And you're like, I would never have met these people otherwise.
Right.
And some of them I didn't think were ever going to talk to me.
Yeah. It's like, it's kind of cool. Like, so I don't really get into all this feuding and fighting and stuff. And, I'd like to talk about Gino. We talked about AC and we were going to, decide what to talk about. I'd love to talk about Gino, and I'll throw in at the end about Rob Saul.
Okay.
You
Well,
know, just to give like a little spice. But AC, I hope it goes off without a hitch. Part of me wants it to be a shit show because it's amazing content. That if it all gets fucked up, it's funny as hell. When
well,
you're
I
not,
think that's what's.
when you're not invested into it.
I think that's what's going to happen. I think it's going to be. I think the Kill Kevin event is going to be a shit show.
Right.
I fully expect it to be a shit show. But unlike last year's show, because Kevin is involved, and I don't particularly like Kevin, but I think he's very talented, and he knows how to do this stuff. I think we'll walk away from it going, that was one of the funniest shit shows I've ever been at.
Right.
You know,
And I kind
I
of feel.
think
Oh, I'm sorry.
no, I was going to say what I think would be hilarious though is for KB to just sit there and let Chad try to run it, you
Right.
know, because you could
Right.
just I could just Chad would be just sweating,
Well,
nervous.
Chad is running it. KB doesn't want to run it. KB's like, I'll just show up. He's not looking to run it. It's on Chad and it's on a little bit on Wendy.
Right. Now, how I haven't heard how much is the what is it? What is he going by now? Blaze? Um
Blade was his
oh,
self-anointed nickname. I mean, his name is Winby. Winby
right.
too. I've always called him Windy. Dan too. Winby. We butcher these names. Same thing with like Stalin. It's probably Stalin, like a stallion. But I say Stalin 19. I just butcher those names with everybody else.
Right. And this guy I always love these guys. This is my where am I? Schmuel's boomer ass is looking for a friend. I'm looking to laugh. Uh no, I'm looking to laugh. I got plenty of friends. But I have a woman who's, and other women who are going to Dabbleverse events, and they fear these guys. They have no idea what people are going to act like, and so part of my being an ambassador for the Dabbleverse is to say, no, look, you're going to have a lot of fun, and everybody's really nice, and you'll enjoy them. So,
And I
and
do think we'll all have fun. I'm not going specifically, oh my God, I'm going for this KB thing. I'm going to go. Friday, I'm gambling. Saturday, I'm going to get up. I'm going to reservations at the steakhouse. I'm going to go to the sports book. Hopefully, it's not too packed. And when they get done with Kill Kevin, they can meet up with me. I'm ordering little bags. Everybody's going to get merch, coffee mugs, beanies, calendars, pens. It's actually decent shit. And, you know, and that's that. But I'm not basing my whole trip around like, oh, it's Dabbleverse, Dabbleverse, Dabbleverse. No, it's going to be a blip on my 4 days I'm there.
right, I
I'm going to watch this Sunday. I'm going to watch the Super Bowl. I hope, I think a lot of these people I meet are going to be really nice people that I'm going to want to see again. And hopefully they'll like me and want to see me again. So
yeah.
I'll go back for more stuff.
My Mrs. B, we're staying in the tower.
Right.
Right, and the pool there it's adult only,
Oh,
and
because
it's
you're in the water club, correct?
right, yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we're staying there, and she loves the pool and the spa there,
Right.
and that's why it's one of the reasons why we're going. So it's and we have our dog is a service dog, so we'll be bringing him along with us,
Hmm.
and you know we're we would go like we did last year. We would go if this event wasn't happening.
Right.
And even if the event's a shit show, we'll still have a good time. But if past this prologue, the show itself, the Saturday night show, will be a disaster. Everybody will laugh about it. They'll have a good time, and then people just hang out. That was the that was what was going on last year. Was you were just everybody's just hanging out and having a lot of fun, and you got to meet people that you hadn't met before. I got the John thing. Tukey and Melton were doing shows, and people were going up to the room, and they were doing shows during that time. But it was just a lot of fun. It was just a hang, and it
Right.
was a lot of fun.
I think it's
Um,
fun. I think it's incredibly fun to meet people that you either interact with in the chat or you see. You see Leo Gunn, you see this one and that one. Well, now they're going to all show up. How cool is it to meet them in person? They're going to all be awesome. And
right.
that's the thing with Rob Saul. He's like, oh, I called in sick. I don't want anybody. I don't work there, but I called in sick from there. It's like don't protest too much, buddy. It's like, oh, I don't work at the steakhouse. I don't work at the Hard Rock. I work in an office, but I called out. Uh, you know what? You should just be like, yes, everybody's welcome. I work at this bar. Come down. I'll serve you drinks. Tip me, whatever.
Right.
And he
It,
would have got a lot of tips. Like, don't be an asshole.
the young lady who was one of the bartenders last year at Hackamania commented to me that we were really good tippers.
Right.
So, and I think they would be, but Rob is like a guy. He's taken it so far. He doesn't know what he's he's scared. He's like scared of his own shadow now because of all the threats and back and forth. But getting lawyers and calling the police. It's like he boxed himself into a corner.
You know what? I tried to work with Rob. I tried to be his friend. I tried to help him with his show. And he's such a thin skinned asshole. I'm done with him. I have washed my hands of Rob Saul. I have made 2 innocent dog jokes. I never said he diddled dogs, and I don't believe he did that. I've never said anything like, as Kiki would say, untoward about Rob Saul. I've given him information about, Opie and Anthony information that I knew from years ago, different things to keep him going on his show. And the other, like a week or so ago, I go on there and I'm just like chatting with the chatters. And I have a moderator, and it's like big fucking deal. I don't get paid to have that. I don't really give a fuck. But it was to protect his chatters. So he goes, Deb, I don't like you trashing me. Don't be trashing me. And I'm like, what the fuck? What did I even say? And I'm asking people in chat, and they're like, we don't know what you said. And they're like, Rob, she didn't say anything. She didn't say anything. What's wrong? What's wrong? He was all mad. He blocked me. I was like, fuck him. Sorry for the language, but fuck him.
The language is.
I'm done. I am out of the Rob Saul loser fucking lol cow business. I am totally done. It's done nothing for me personally. It's done nothing for me. If I was trying to rip myself in the Dabbleverse, that motherfucker is not the way to go. He
Right.
wants to be the stuttering John heir apparent. Well, you don't even have lol cow energy. Stuttering John does. So I'm done. This is what happened. Last time I was on there, I wasn't even on there. I was in the chat room, and he was talking to his fuck, marry, kill. It was Jenny Jingle, Mammy, and me. So I was the kill. So that shows you what he thinks of me, right? I'm the kill. But I laugh it all off. So he says, and then somebody said, oh, FKA mommy, she's 50. And he's, oh, I didn't realize she was that old. Oh boy, I don't know. She looked pretty good, but I didn't realize she was that old. And I made a joke and I said, she's only 7 in dog years. Because dog year is 7. 7 times 7 is 49. Oh my God. He blocked my ass. He did this. I got about 10 messages from people like, that was a funny joke. I picked up a pen. It was a corny joke, but they said it was a funny joke. Prior to that, we got in a fight. Well, he fought with me because when he got monetized, he bought steak. Like, he doesn't think about, like, maybe they're going to charge back. Maybe they're messing with me. He doesn't think that. The first time he got monetized, he got a couple $100 one night. He went and spent it on a steak, and he shows a picture of it. And I said, oh, I hope you got a doggy bag. And anybody that works in hospitality knows a doggy bag is a takeout bag. It's an old term for it. Maybe it's a little outdated. I don't know.
I don't think it's outdated. I think
he's worked in hospitality his whole career, and he got mad at me about that. He is so freaking thin-skinned. And I used to apologize. I'm like, oh, listen, this is what that joke meant. I'm really sorry. This is that. I'm done with that. I'm done with apologizing to this asshole. I will never accuse him of doing shit to dogs because I don't think he does that. But this guy steps on so many goddamn rakes and wonders why people make fun of him. He told people his mom is fat. He said she's obese. So he wonders why there's a guy in the chat like Rob Saul, stinky, fat shit mom. Okay, you wonder why you got that. You're an asshole. You wonder why Anthony Cumia, who you admired, doesn't pay you no mind. You are as insignificant as the shit on the bottom of his sneaker that he might step on in New York City. You're this. How
Yeah.
can you deal with that? I have tried, like I said, I've tried to be friends. I was going to take him out for lunch Friday or Monday, one of the days I was out there. And I'm like, nah, fuck him. So I'm done. I'm over it with him. Too much sharing. You didn't have to tell the dog story 20 times. You keep telling it. You're getting made fun of it. You don't need to talk about your gay dad. You're getting made fun of it. You don't need to tell everybody your mom that abandoned you is fucking fat because they're going to make fun of that. Like, where do you draw the line? At least, now I've talked to you and I said Dave Sarah does a lot of TMI. He talks a lot about vulnerable things, but Dave Sarah can laugh about it. He can find the humor in his bizarre situation. He can find the humor when I make a ball joke about the back of his head.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what? He laughs at it. And if he ever wrote to me and said, Deb, I'm very hurt you said that. It's a hard existence I have, and I don't really like people making fun of it, I would totally apologize and stop. But Rob Saul, I'm done. I'm totally fucking done with him. There is no benefit for me to go on his show. And I've never been somebody that looked at a show as a benefit because who the fuck am I? I'm nobody.
Yeah, I listen. My thing is the dog story, the fat mom, the gay dad, the cousin who stole his wife. That should be content. That should be stuff that he should be using, right? In his, if he, it's like these are the things that happen. You've told us about them. You can't open, right? You can't open. What's the word that I'm looking for? You can't put the genie back in the bottle, right?
Right,
Like once it's open, you open it. So you can either, if you fight it, you're just going to make it worse.
right.
And
Like I said, Schmuel, I I told you I think Dave Sarah is too transparent. Okay, I think he is too honest that he should keep some of that close to the vest because people are going to look at those vulnerabilities and pick on him. And I've done it. I picked on him the other day at a show. I made a ball joke and a bedpan joke.
mhm.
But you know what? If he called me or if he wrote to me and said, Deb, those jokes are mean spirited. I'm having a tough time. I don't like those. I would totally never do that again to him.
Yeah.
But he does open himself up and he does accept the humor in the situation. But Rob Saul gets mad at the dumbest little fucking joke.
Right. And
Like how thin skinned do you need to be? I mean, dude, you fucked up your whole life. This is nobody else's fault. You know how much he owes in HOA fees? 43,000, I believe, $740. He inherited that house when his dad died and never paid the HOA. He pays $729 times 60 months. And he's not in a fancy pantsy thing. So
right.
for you to rack up that amount of homo insurance, I call it homo,
Almost.
but homo dues, that's pretty fucked up. That your dad left you a 2-bedroom condo and you racked all this shit up.
Yeah.
You need to get your ass on, you want to be stuttering Johns like Junior Duke, get your fucking ass on YouTube every night and take those insults. Open your mouth and swallow wide those freaking $2 insults because you need it to pay the HOA.
Yeah. Aside from Mint Diggity calling me names earlier, I I don't know. Rob's not cut out for this. I think that that's absolutely true.
I agree.
And I don't, look, the story that I was told is how he got. I guess he had done radio at some point in his life, but how he got into this Dabbleverse and stuff was uh, he was he helped a certain aging comedian uh, obtain necessary products. Um, I'm trying to.
So you're telling me you bought Bob Levy Coke?
Right,
That's
well, that's yeah,
basically what
I'm not telling you that,
you're
but
not
you know
telling
that,
me that. Wink, wink, wink.
and
But
that's and that's
yes,
how, and that's why Bob brought him on, and then that's why he became part of the thing, and then he had his problems with Chris Abels, and then they got involved in the whole buying views scandal. But
right,
I don't get it. I just don't get like what thin skin and streaming do not go together,
right,
right? Either you have to keep everything close to the vest and or stick to a particular topic or not. Like you can't the Dabbleverse, you know, there's the old story of you choose to went to play with the tiger. You choose when to play with the tiger chooses when to stop, and that's the way the Dabbleverse is. Exactly the
right.
same,
And
right?
I don't know what his end goal was with this. He got in with Stuttering John, and I know he's a big Howard Stern fan, so he's probably like, "Oh my God, Stuttering John, this guy that I thought was cool many years ago, is accessible." But why do you want to take on the mantle of him?
Right,
Why do you want to be a lol cow? And you're not even a lol cow. Like a lol cow is unintentionally entertaining. You're not even that. Just do your interviews with people from these defunct rock bands and Chicago and like, Stevie Nicks band. Do that. That's wonderful. Do it. But don't be a dick to the people that I've tried to be his friend.
right.
I've tried. I've given him little things like little tidbits. Hey, this is something from the old O&A days with Anthony. This is something else. And I've thrown it to him, and he
Yeah,
gets mad. I make a dumb dog joke.
I know. I listen. I wonder though. You know, I've seen the head bobbing that he does. Um, I've seen it. It looks to me like he might be under the influence of some substances when he's doing his show, and I just think that makes I don't it messes with the mind. So I don't know that he's reacting rationally, right?
Right,
And like the dog joke, you make if a friend of mine makes a joke, I don't know, about me going bald, it's one thing, and I laugh at it. If somebody else did it, right? Like who I didn't know, and it's all yeah, maybe I would get sensitive to it, but he's got to know where it's coming from with you. And I know that Sarah and I joke back and forth about these things
right,
with the bald or the family or whatever. Like it's part of what we do. You know, listen to Tukey and the potato, best of friends, but they insult each other all the time,
right,
right? Making jokes because they're jokes. You're not trying to like stick it to Rob, but
right,
but in his, it's the Stuttering John thing. Like their perception is that you're attacking them with a spear every
right,
time, and
right,
you know, trying to kick them, and they don't understand. It's like let's not be fair, or like let's just be fun, have fun with this. But they, I don't, you know, they don't do it. And look, nobody in this universe should be taking Stuttering John as a model of behavior,
right.
right? Like it's
I
not
I mean, Shmuel, nobody in this universe should take anything we do serious.
correct.
You should have your daily life with your family that's not involved in this, and your job that's not involved in this. And you come on here, and maybe you're an exaggerated version of yourself, and you laugh at dumb shit. But in reality, you have this other world. Nobody knows I do this. None of my close friends know about Dabbleverse. I don't send them links to watch this. I don't even know where I'd start to explain it. I just said, yeah, I'm on YouTube. I do this like comedy podcast with it. It's real niche. Yeah, don't even worry about it. You wouldn't get it. You know, that's how I like blow it all off. I'm just like, hey, you wouldn't even get it. It's real dumb. Sorry. You know?
I have a nephew that watches me, and uh, he wants to talk. He's my nephew by marriage, so his wife is actually my niece, and he'll talk to my niece about, oh, that Uncle Schmuel's fun, yeah, yeah, yeah. My sister has no desire to hear about it. Nobody in my life takes it seriously. I don't really take it seriously. I enjoy it, and I don't. But it can't become your life. It can't become your job unless you can make money at it. That's the part
Right.
that I don't.
Right.
I'll get phone calls sometimes from guys that like have an actual job, but they can't get their focus off the Dabbleverse, or somebody said something to them, and I'm just like, it doesn't matter, right? None of this matters. And that's
Right.
the big thing about meeting people. You can see people who fight in chat, who are mean to each other, but they get together and they all hang out. And some of the people, some of Sarah's friends I've seen just absolutely shit on them, and they all hang out.
Right. And I think going to New Jersey, if there's somebody that shit on me or shit on you, I think when we go to New Jersey, we're gonna meet those people. They're really kind of pretty cool, and everybody's gonna have a
Yeah.
good time. I don't think anybody is gonna have problems.
Yeah. Yeah. And I get shit on all the time, predominantly about my looks and my age and whatnot.
Honey, I do
And
too. If you
I,
ain't, if you ain't 20, you're getting shit on. If your tits ain't hanging out, you're getting
right.
shit on.
And then
But
I meet these people, and it's just like, oh, the guy who was shitting on me is also the guy that's being really nice to me. Um, in in any event, I Rob Soul, I don't understand what he's doing. I don't understand why he's on the air, and I don't understand why he's mad at you. And I think the dog stuff is very funny. Uh, the How it got started, what it's all about, and it's really a him problem, not a people problem. He should be laughing at it,
right,
and since he's not, people just keep picking on him. It's
right.
the same thing they do to Stuttering John. The difference is John had a career. John actually had a career.
Yeah, exactly.
You
Whether
know,
you think he failed up or he got it handed to him, he had an actual career and he made actual money. You know,
uh,
Rob Saul, what's he been doing? He's been avoiding paying HOA for like 20 years, I guess. That you got it that out of pocket. That it's 43 grand.
I'm
And I
I'm o yeah, I gotta say, I listen to some of these people, and they talk about like how unfair this bill is or how unfair that is, and I'm like, but it's life. We have to pay it, right? Like,
right,
we
right,
pay it. If
right,
your if your condo association stop picking up the garbage, you know, you'd pretty quick you'd be complaining.
right.
It's like you whatever. But I don't really have the patience for Rob, because I don't think he gets it, and I think you're not the only person. I feel this. I did the same with Joey C, where you try to help them,
Right,
but there is no helping them,
right.
because they are who they are. They're stuck where they are, and they're not going to change.
And they
And
don't get it. Like when you make a light-hearted joke. When I said mommy is 7 in dog years, I wasn't implying you're fucking dogs. It was a
right,
light-hearted joke. You said the lady was too old. So I said, well, really, if you add it up in dog years, she's only 7. Ha ha ha. But no, he's like, stop trashing me. I'm gonna block you. I'm gonna take away your moderator ranch. I
and
don't
that
fucking I don't fucking
yeah.
care. You know why I had a moderator ranch from him? Was to stop people from doxing him because he wasn't paying enough attention to his chat. So I
Mhm.
just wanted it to help him not be doxxed and his other mod, Final Boss, not be doxxed. And then he just made a big deal. It's like, you know what? I'm done. I'm out.
And
I'm out.
the dog ear joke thing. No one thinks of dogs when you say that joke,
Right.
right? Every single person knows that it's a math joke,
It's a
essentially.
math joke.
Right.
Exactly. It's not a you're fucking a dog joke. It's a math joke, but
Right.
you're known as the dog guy. Okay?
Right.
You have you have like two dogs and then other couple dogs you borrow. So you're known as a dog guy, and that's cool. I get it. You're finding companionship through pets and dogs. Never would I don't to this day I don't think he messes with dogs. I've never accused him of that. I've never said anything like that. But he just gets so thin-skinned, and I don't know what his goal is. I don't really get his end goal. He wants to be the does he want to be the Duke and get insulted for $2 a clip or what? I don't even know. And I'm just done. I'm not wasting my time with him anymore. He got permanently suspended off of Twitter. That was how I communicated with him. Once he was gone, I was like, yeah, whatever, fuck him. Seriously. And he needs to think about it too when you have radio, he says, I'm a legendary, if you look at his bio, it says legendary radio broadcaster. He's as obtuse as fucking Opie. And about as funny. I think Opie is funnier than Rob Saul. I
Steel
mean,
Toe also thinks he's a radio legend. So,
yes, Steel
you
Toe
know,
as well. I mean,
and
but
isn't this guy from like West Virginia or something?
which guy, Steel Toe?
No, no, no. Rob Saul. Is it? Where
He's
is he
from
from?
Jersey. He's got like that butchered. They try to do his accent on Uncle Rico. It sounds southern, but they do kind of. He's got that Atlantic City Philly hybrid accent.
Okay, because I thought that for some reason I could be confusing him with somebody else. I thought he was like I know Abels was in West Virginia, but I thought he was like in West Virginia and he was on some local radio thing, and that's why he considers himself um a radio legend. But I have no idea.
Right.
You know.
I don't know. I knew of him years ago. He did a show with Chris Abels and Bob Levy. He did Levy Land. He did he was kind of the producer for that. And then he had a falling out with Chris Abels and he had a falling out with Bob Levy. So when you have three people and you've had a falling out with two of them, maybe the problem is you.
Right. Well, he's a
You know,
falling out with everybody, right?
he had
Like,
a falling out with me.
and he
And,
had a falling out with you. And the only reason why he didn't have a falling out with John is because he let John shit all over him, and he took it. Right? If he'd stood up for
yeah,
himself at all, that would have ended.
right.
So I
No,
just
he lets John shit on him. John is passive aggressive. When he picked up his phone, John would be like, oh, don't answer your phone when you're talking to me, whatever.
okay,
And
boss.
okay, boss. Okay, daddy.
Okay.
You know, and I get it. Okay, you admire. He's more a Howard Stern fan than an Opie Anthony fan. He really wasn't. But it's kind of funny. Like Anthony Cumia, thinks of Rob Saul as so just inconsequential. Rob Saul is dog shit on the bottom of Anthony's shoe that he just brushes aside and never gives a second thought to him. And that's got to suck. If you're thinking you're a radio guy and you admire these people, I would kind of be devastated if Anthony Cumia thought I was like this dumb piece of shit. I would,
But
because
would
I've
Anthony
admired
even
him.
know? But would Anthony even know who you are?
No, and I hope he doesn't.
You know, they did
I
the
don't.
one.
I'm not even trying for that. Yeah, no.
They did the compound. They did the was Saul, Abels, Levy, and somebody else. Uh, they did a pilot for compound,
Right.
and it never went anywhere. But they weren't doing it for Anthony. Anthony never saw it.
Right.
So I don't know. And the thing about Anthony, when you hear about Anthony, Anthony just he doesn't really want to be in. He's not looking for friends. You know, he's not looking for people. He very much likes you to go hi, have two or three words with him. You know, a little
Hey, how are you?
cordiality,
Big
and then
fan. Big
and
fan.
right,
And
and
walk off. He will never. So the best joke, I'm going to say this. I've said this so many times on Dan's show. The best joke KB ever came up with is, what does Anthony say at Kiki and Gino's wedding? Nice knowing you. Okay, it's a best joke because it's true. Do you
Yeah.
think Anthony Gibbs will ever call Gino? It might be courteous if Gino calls him, but he's done. He's done with Garrett and Steve. He's done with Gino. He's done with all of these people. He's living his life in South Carolina. If you're not in front of him directly, you're forgotten. That's just the way he
Right.
is.
If they called him, he would talk to them. But I don't picture
Right.
him going, "Oh man, I haven't talked to Garrett in a while." And he's also not a phone guy from his own statements. He doesn't
Right.
really like to talk on the phone. He's
Right.
a texter. And then he's, you know, he's retired, quote unquote, but he's got a show. He's got all this other stuff he likes to do, and he has the ability to do it. So he
Yeah.
just it's it's not an insult. He just doesn't have
You,
time.
you know, you know what, Shmuel? These guys were picking his pocket for so long. Don't be sad the ride ended. Be happy it went as long as it did. Seriously.
Right. And the other thing is, if you didn't plan on this ending, it's on you. It's
Right.
not it's not on them. And then thinking that you're worth more than you are. This was the Gino thing, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
Gino and Chrissy thought, "Oh man, Gavin's going to be like he's going to be banging down our door. He's going to be really he wants us." And the reality is Gavin didn't want them.
Right.
Right? He would have taken him if he could have gotten a deal that worked for him, but he wasn't going to be paying the money.
No,
And
he said, you know what he said? He says, yeah, we'll take you. Here's a promo code.
right,
Okay, promo code Gino, promo code Chrissy.
right,
Whatever you get, how many subs you get with these promo codes, and I'm sure Pat's under the same deal. And I signed up for Censored when Pat got canned from Compound, and he went to Censored. That's when I joined Censored, and I'm under the Pat code.
yeah. So
And I,
some people on censored get paid beyond the sub code, and there
right,
are some people that just if he doesn't have any faith in you at all, apparently it's the sub code,
right,
and
right,
you know, but yeah, I don't know Pat's deal, but I don't think that Pat's just a subcode guy because he does other stuff for them. They ask him to do other things on the network and
right.
uh, things like that. But look, the Geno thing, he had Aaron. Aaron would have stayed in that. As far as I know, Aaron would have stayed doing compound, doing in hot water forever if they could have gotten away from the race and sexist stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Aaron's a good enough comic to do it. I don't know that Gino is. Um, there was also the issues of Gino's drinking, and Pat Dixon is not the only person that's had a physical altercation with Gino,
Right.
right? We know about a partner throwing him against the wall.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes. Yes.
and
Yeah.
so hold on. I'm sorry. I got to get rid of this background. It's driving me crazy. So, the, and then it's like, and then Gino got broken by COVID and,
He
his,
got broken by COVID. He got broken by Aaron leaving.
right.
That was his best bud for a while. They did a lot of stuff, and Aaron was like, enough's enough. And In Hot Water went down the shitter after Aaron Berg left. I'm sorry.
Yeah. There was no reason.
It did. It was like I stopped watching it.
So did I.
I
You and everybody else.
I tried to watch it, and I would put it on here and there, and I was like, nah, this shit sucks.
I can't. He at one time I had sent in I put in a tweet and he put up my tweet and told everyone that they should respond to me or, this is who it is. Not a single person replied or did anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, and that was the day I was like, yeah, I'm not imagining that nobody's watching this.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and then on a show like that, if you got 20 loyal viewers, they could make enough noise to make you think that there are more.
Right.
So Melton said, one of the we don't know that this is true, but he said if it's true, so one of the worst things that Anthony ever did to Gino was make him think that he had more viewers than he did.
That's a great point.
You know,
I mean, it
and
really is. Because nobody that worked there knew their viewers. It leaked one time, it leaked, and Red Bar got a hold of it.
uh,
And he could see there was like 400 viewers for this and this many hundred viewers. I did my own speculation and I said when Compound was toward the end, I said they probably have about 10,000 subscribers. Those are people, a small portion are people that still enjoy it and watch it and pay for it. A larger portion are people that they never canceled. I had that subscription free for so long when I canceled it. I could still log in it. And
right. Even
and
but you
every,
weren't were you not paying for it? Because that's what a lot of people were
I
saying.
wasn't paying for it after a
Right.
time. I was. Then I canceled. I was like, oh, I'm not watching it. Let me cancel it. And then I still had the app on my Roku. I still had it on my phone. I pull it. Oh, look, I still get the Anthony Cumia show. Oh, cool. I get it for free. And then
Right.
I go on Reddit and everybody's like, yeah, I get it for free. I get it for free. I get it for free. Well, am
Same.
I going to be the altruistic idiot that's going to call up Anthony and go, oh, I'm getting your show for free. Where do I send my $10? Fuck you. No, I got it for free.
I would also think that they probably knew that that was happening.
They knew and
Uh,
they didn't care. They
right.
knew and they didn't care.
Well, the story that I was told, and it makes sense to me. Not sure that it's correct, but that they switched credit card processors,
Right.
and when they switched credit card processors, they thought it was all going to be a smooth transition. That you had a Compound subscription, they were using credit card processing company A, they would just switch to company B. That company was going to lower. Did I lose you? I lost Deb. Wow. That wasn't rude. There she is.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Oh my
It's
God.
like, wow, I lost. So what I was told was that when they moved from one credit card processor to another to save money, it turned out that there were state regulations that not in every state could they just automatically transfer. In a bunch of places, they needed the credit card holder's authorization to
Right.
do the transfer. And so, because of the way the agreement was written or whatever, and they didn't want to go to people and say, we need your authorization, because they were afraid that all those people would say no,
Right.
or a goodly percentage of them would say no, and then that would look bad for them. So I could just picture like sitting back in an office trying to figure out how to handle it, you know.
Yeah.
And I and I don't know. And Keith was the guy that got Anthony off his ass after Anthony got fired, but he shouldn't
Yeah.
have been running. He shouldn't have been running the business.
But should Iraq have been running it either?
Yeah, I don't know how Iraq. It's
You
always
know?
weird to me. It's like Iraq like gets jobs, and he's in radio stuff, and then I'm like, I was surprised. And then when listen to him talk, he goes on WATP every now and then, and he talks about, well, we're working with this person or we're working with that company, and I'm like, why? Like, how does this keep going?
Right. You know.
You know, and one of my neighbors here is who just recently retired, was a very big wig in radio for a long time, and I think whatever, maybe it was CBS, and then they were bought by somebody. I don't remember, iHeartMedia, whoever it is. And this guy's telling me like the jobs that you used to get, that you made so much money on, you're not making money on them. They're
Right.
not there, or you don't make what you used to make, and the radio business is dying. And all of these, like, and he was talking to me about like podcasting and stuff, and he was looking at it, and he was trying, he said a lot of the economics didn't make sense to him,
Right.
so I don't know. But in any event, yeah, people got into Compound. I just look, my issue with Gino, it's not really that complicated, was I'm one of the few people that I thought he was talented and I thought he pissed it away.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it was the drinking thing, like that he just kept drinking, and that was what caused the problems with Berg. And and then he turned on Berg, and then he's saying shit about Mrs. Berg, and then they're fighting, and but it's like it your whole world is disappearing. You can't get in a comedy club. Like, you can't book yourself. Like, you can get booked on a show, but he
Right.
wasn't able to get booked by himself. Nobody wanted him. I mean, at some point, right? You got to go, wait, I got to look in the mirror and go, like you said about Rob, maybe it's me,
Right.
right? And then with Keanu, it's like, I swear, with most of his stuff that I've seen lately, I feel like he's just Keanu's chauffeur.
Right.
And it's been a year since I saw her, so hopefully she got better, but boy, did she stink. And
I like her
last,
mom. I like her mom a lot. But it's funny. I'll bring this up. It's not that big of a deal anymore, but I was back and forth with Gino, and I wanted to get him on with me and Dan. And I was setting up like, hey, can you come on? Nice podcast, stupid. We do it on Friday. Are you about? Yeah, yeah, everything's great. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then when I circled back to confirm the day of, he says, oh, I can't do it because Kiki, we live together and she's got her whatever, maybe with Chrissy or whatever. She's got her show on and I can't do it. And I was like, because they can't do it at the same time because they only have this hallway, like this weird long ass hallway apartment, and they
right.
couldn't stream at the same time. And I was understanding. I was like, okay, no worries. When do you think it would be good? Let me know. And then finally, I just got mad. I was like, this fucking asshole's big timing us, and he's on the down. We see you on the down. We see you when you come up, and we see you on the down, and he's on
Right.
the down. You know,
and and losing the YouTube channel is just sheer stupidity, right?
right,
Just
right.
it wasn't a mistake, right? You knew you were in trouble, and you still decided you want to show a ball bag. Like, the fuck, like,
Was that
and no,
ski
no, no,
mask? Ski
rum.
mask? Ball bag?
Oh, I don't know. He showed somebody's ball bag and taint. Like, I didn't
Because
see it, and his channel.
anytime you have ski mask on, you're going to see a ball bag or something. So I was like, does he have his ball bag? But you know what? He's another ban evader, and I don't care. I will never strike anyone's channel. I will never complain unless you attack me personally and it's really harmful. I will never strike anyone's channel. But what he's doing is he's got his brother now, Max Loads, with a channel that his brother probably doesn't even give a fuck about. And now it's like the Gino channel. That's his back door. So he's hoping to get that monetized and get that going. And if he does, God bless.
Yeah, but that's similar. What happened to Dixon was Dixon lost his channel years ago. His first channel, he lost it years
Right,
ago. They said he had pornography on the channel, and it was before YouTube was a thing. And he's like, fuck it, I don't care.
right,
I'm not going to fight this. Like, what's the point? I don't need it. Then YouTube becomes a thing, and he gets reported
right.
and ban evasion. And ban evasion is, like, according to what I heard, that's like their biggest they dislike that more than just about anything else. So if Gino gets nailed for ban evasion, he'll never be back on YouTube. And honestly, Rumble just stinks. I
Rumble
don't know how
sucks.
anybody
Rumble
makes it.
sucks. But what constitutes ban evasion? Like the potato guy, he got nuked, but he's still on Carl. He's still on the Orange Show. I'm assuming there's ways around it. And
So
Gino's now doing a show on Max Loads, who is his brother, has a channel all of a sudden.
yeah, I think the big thing is that you can be a guest on those shows, but the shows themselves have to be legitimate. They can't just be a front for you to have a show.
Right. Okay.
That's the big thing. And the shows that the potato appears on, they're all, those are all legitimate shows. I mean, it's possible somebody could make a complaint, but whether YouTube would do anything about it or not, I don't really, I don't know. And that's the problem with YouTube is you don't know anything, right?
Right. Right.
Like you could be perfect one day and then you could be demonetized and not know why.
I don't know why Dan got demonetized again.
Right.
So, like, so we work together and now we don't have super chats again till March. And he appealed it. We don't even know. It's like, they like a bot. I don't know. We didn't, I think prior to that, we got demonetized and we had to wait a couple months. And it was like Dan figured, oh, we showed like the Biden debate. That's probably we did that. And somebody complained. So we let that go. We got remonetized. We were monetized for maybe a month. And then all of a sudden, he got hit again. So it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah.
And I mean, if Potato or Gino want to work on other channels, God bless. I don't care. I'm never about taking food out of someone's mouth or canceling gigs or ratting out anybody ever.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Ray was telling me Gino would always threaten to mess with Ray's stand show. Right. Do you know
Right.
about this? Like, and
No, I know he does shows at the stand on
so he
a
does
regular basis, pretty much.
he does a once a month show. And when Gino was on In Hot Water, he used to complain about it. And he's always been complaining about Ray and how the stand has him there and they shouldn't have him there. And like Gino wants to mess with him. And I didn't know, but Ray was telling me that Gino would actually go to the stand and like sit at the bar and sort of stare at the comedians at the
That's
stand.
weird.
And it
That's
was like,
kind of
I guess
weird.
to just
Yeah.
try to intimidate Ray. And I'm like, that's just crazy. And so I was like, and that crosses a line.
Right.
But I also, in his trying to get Ray's shows or anybody, like the thing that look, Dixon punched him. Dixon has to suffer the consequences of that. But
Right.
when do you have to? When do you get to stop serving penance? When do you get to come back to life?
Right.
And Gino hasn't done that. And that's I'm going to close with this. I'm going to say that last year's Atlantic City show was supposedly because Gino's coming prevented Dixon from going to Atlantic City. So it was a total cock block. And that was the entire point of the show.
Okay.
And considering that Gino was just fucking hammered drunk there, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Because he did threaten to go to Hackamania to try to do the same thing as well.
Right.
But
that's he can't afford a ticket to Vegas.
Well, that was the funny part, right?
He could get to Atlantic City. He can't afford Vegas.
Well, I actually had Melton and I was talking to him once, and I said to him, I go, the funny thing about that was Gino came on that last year to fuck with Pat. That was like his whole point, but he really revealed that he has no money.
Right.
But
yeah.
Hey, Honk the Clown asked Gino about his finances during that shit thing that I was involved in a couple of Fridays ago.
Okay.
And Gino really didn't give, like, he doesn't really have an answer.
Right.
And the question is like, is there I'm always like, how do you, because I got to pay bills, right? We all got to pay bills.
Right,
and it's like,
right.
Where's the money coming from? And then the other thing I say to these guys, like Gino types and Ray types, is, Gino, you're in your late 50s. You're not gonna be able to work forever. What are you?
He hasn't worked yet. These have not been actual jobs. He needs to start working. He needs to get his ass to Amazon or someplace. he like being a comedian, that's all fun and games, but you need a regular ass job, and he's never done it.
Right. Or else you need to do something in comedy, like take an Aaron Berg who started his own production company, right?
Right. And
And
Aaron
does
Berg on Gas Digital, he works with
right,
Louis J. Gomez.
right. And
You
you know,
know,
you right, and that's part, and then part of the other thing too is one of the things that happens that I've noticed that happens to guys or a certain segment of guys is they're on YouTube, they get banned from YouTube or suspended and they disappear. They
right,
just fall off the map. But then there's a whole set of other guys who are putting up audio podcasts on iTunes or on Spotify. They're on Twitch. They're on these other places. Look, it's not the same. It's not going to replace YouTube, but you don't disappear,
right,
right? And you can pull something together, and then when YouTube comes back, it's not like, oh, Schmuel's coming out. He's crawling out of the swamp back here. People
right.
know who you are, and you can maintain a certain level of audience, but who knows? Anyway, we've done
Now,
2 hours and 15 minutes. I thank you so much. Go ahead and
before you cut me down on off, I will say about Gino. I had heard a rumor that he kind of has a trust from his deceased parents that the brother controls, so he gets money given out. I'm not sure. I got laughed because I said Gino has money. And then I went on about the brother. Also, I think if not, I think Micheline is paying their bills. I think she's very supportive of Kiki, and I think she's been paying their bills now. And ultimately, I think they are going to give up on New York. If they should have done it sooner, but they're going to give up on New York and they're going to move down to Charleston and live in Kiki's house. That's my prediction. And as
yeah,
Chad would say, rack me.
and I was laughing because I thought, wow, but does Gino have to throw Micheline one every month or so just
Yeah.
to keep the tap flowing?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but I yeah, that's what seems to be it would seem that would be the obvious answer, particularly considering Micheline is on the shows with Kiki all the time,
Right.
right? Like Micheline likes it, she enjoys doing it, and and then I wasn't Kiki's last boyfriend or something violent and broke her
Yes.
arm, and
Yes.
so you know Gino may be like he may be safe for the daughter, and we don't and you never know about anybody's money. That's the
Right.
thing, right?
Right.
So you never know. Like to them, maybe it's not that important, and they are getting money from a family. You know?
And we like to speculate, we like to speculate about money. I mean, when Dan and I had a show that we were doing, and we weren't on camera. We didn't really at that time want to go on camera. We had like the avatars, and I had Hulk Hogan had just spoken in front of Republicans, and I had that, and he had some other avatar of himself. I was reading from Kumia's book, and then Leo Gunn had gotten KB on there, and I felt like KB didn't really respect us because he couldn't see us. So after
Mm.
that, Dan and I talked, and we were like, okay, we need to go on camera. And the first time we did, I think I was very uncomfortable, and I think maybe Dan was a little bit too, but I was definitely uncomfortable. But I don't, what I digress now. I'm trying to figure out what this means for Kiki and Gino, but you know what? It's got to be for Gino. You're 54 years old. You
Six.
can 56 years old, you can't provide for your wife. You didn't invest any of that money. Like you were getting well overpaid, way overpaid to work at Compound. And none of these guys, Garrett, Steve, who I think are awesome guys, none of these people ever like said, we're like robbing this guy. This isn't going to go on forever. Let me take like a percentage every week that I get and put it in the stock market. And they didn't do that. They didn't buy bitcoins or Doge or stocks or anything. They just like spent it like drunken sailors.
Well, my thing with Garrett and Steve are they were just employees, right? They weren't the
Right,
talent, whatever.
right,
Gino's supposed to be older and wiser. And even if he's not putting away some of that money, he's supposed to be using the compound platform to get him shows like the Jim Norton thing, right?
right,
Do you
right.
ever remember a time when Jim was not out working the road? He,
No,
it's what he does. And then Norton every night was at the Comedy Cellar honing his material. And
right,
it's like it's a job. Like if you treat it, look, it's a skill, it's an art, but it's a job. And it's like if you treat it like a job with the seriousness that should have, you could make a decent living off this.
right,
And there are a lot of guys that do they're like regional comics, whatever. They have a second job, maybe, or their wife works and they stay home and take care of the kids, or whatever. But it's like you can make a living out of this. My thing with these guys, my particular fear is for my boy Ray, is he's going to break his leg, right?
right,
Or something like that. That particularly, or he's going to get his right foot broken. He's not going to be able to drive. He's not going to have any money. Like nothing is going to be coming in.
right.
And you can't survive like that. Anyway, we could have an
Ah,
entirely full
on
conversation about
Ray, we could do another show on Ray alone.
well, we
Seriously.
we could do on Ray, but I like what I really want to do at some point is I want to have a show, if I could ever put it together, on Ray and like Stuttering John and just how they live their lives. Not even about their comedy, but how they live their lives. And to me, Stuttering John is a lottery winner who just pissed all the money away. You know,
He failed,
Ray
failed up, failed up.
failed up, but then he's like the only person I know that worked at the Tonight Show for 10 years and made less money every year that he was there and didn't get the message.
Right, right.
Right? What was in the movie Office Space? I can't remember the guy's name, in the basement with the
Yeah,
stapler. Like
yes.
we keep moving you further and further from the
Like
work, but,
away, yes.
you know, and whatever. And then, with Ray, it's like I had a conversation with him one time, and I love Ray. He's a nice guy, but he was doing all these gigs, and I'm like, well, how much are you getting paid? How much does your travel cost? What are the hotels? It feels to me like you might be paying them.
Right.
When all is said and done, you might be bringing in 100, but it's costing you 130. You
But
know,
he doesn't have anybody like to take care of him to tell him that.
well,
So
I
he'll
you can
drive 300 miles for $40.
you can tell him, but I don't think he has the. I think the difference between him and John is I think Ray got when he got knocked in the head.
Right.
Um, some there's some part of his brain that just doesn't allow him to focus on long-term things. I
Right.
I I don't, and it's like when you talk to Ray, it's like, oh, I've got to become a better comic. I've got to become this. You've been doing this for 20 years, 25 years. If it hasn't happened by now, what are the odds it's going to happen?
He's actually pretty good. I mean,
And he
he's
is.
really good. If you've seen his set, and Chad too, they're very good at being openers and middlers or whatever. They're both very good.
Yeah, I thought Chad stunk, but
Okay.
but it may have been, look, it may have been, time and place. It might have been the circumstances. Um, but I've seen Ray perform, and I was very surprised the first time I saw Ray
Yeah.
perform. The audience liked him. He was really good at opening. He had a nice rapport. Um, he was like a quality opener, but I don't know
Right.
if you can make a living doing that.
You can't. You can't. And
So
Gino, you can't either. So
But Gino, the difference between Ray and Chad are they both know they they may not know it 100%. They may keep thinking like, you know, Johnny Carson's people are going to show up, and say, "Come sit on the couch with us," to use an old reference. But I
Right.
think, but they know that that's not going to happen, and I think
Chad, I
Gino still thinks he's a star.
think Gino thinks he's going to sit on Johnny's couch. Chad is totally realistic. He's like, listen, I open for Swartzen and Brewer and these. I open for bigger people than me, and they pay me well, and I'm cool. I think Chad is probably the most self-aware about his comedy career. I really do.
Okay,
I
I hope
do.
that I
Yeah.
hope that's correct. I do laugh though at him constantly fighting like with that he has this such hate for Ray DeVito, right? And then he does this show with Chow for Ray DeVito. And I'm like, it's you're fighting among scraps,
Right.
You're like always
Right.
getting like if you're gonna have a fight with somebody, at least have somebody that you could get some benefit out of arguing with or some
Right.
fight with.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah, I don't get it. God bless, do what they got to do. I don't get fighting with Ray. I don't have a problem with Ray. I don't have a problem with Chad, even. Like I said, I've seen him a couple times already. He's open for Florentine. I've seen him open for Swartzen, and he's got solid act. As an opener, he's got a solid act. And I said to him when I think the second show, I said, "Hey, you know your place. You know your lane. That's really good."
I just enjoy trolling him. That's I mean,
Right.
I have to. I mean, just it's like I don't even. I've seen him. What twice? I think I've seen him
Yeah.
perform. So but the trolling him is so much fun because I do get amazed that he's trying to dox this one. He's trying to do go after that one, and then when his channel gets taken down, it's like all of a sudden, oh my God, woe is me! Look at what happens to me.
Right.
So
Right.
anyway,
And
Deb, I got to go, or I am Mrs. Buckman will never talk to me again. I have to. I bought her plane tickets for Hackamania to Las Vegas, and we have about 30 minutes to decide
oh,
whether or
go
not
ahead,
she's going, or else
decide,
I'm gonna
go,
own them.
go,
Thank you
go.
so much, man. We'll
Thank
do it
you.
again soon. Great time. All right.
Thank you
Thanks.
so much. You
All
have a nice
right.
night.
Bye.
Bye.